Good morning, YouTube. It's good to be back. Good to be shooting a video again. I am gonna go over my gear list now. This is not gonna be my entire gear list. I'm gonna put out separate videos for each one. And I figured a good place to start would be my kitchen, what I call my kitchen. So we'll go over how I cooked and then some of the things I ate. And then after that, we'll go over my water treatment system because I think it all kind of goes hand in hand with the kitchen part. So we'll start off with my bear bag. I used the Z-Packs bear bag. I didn't buy the kit. I just bought the bear bag and the rock bag, and then I had some guy line that I used. I will say, as far as Z-Packs goes, this is the only piece of Z-Packs gear that made it the entire trail without failing. So take that for what it's worth. I used about 40 feet of guy line that I bought at Dick's Sporting Goods. I like this because it's reflective. So when I hung my bear bag at night, or at night, in the evening, once you're done, then I'd go to bed and wake up early. A lot of times I woke up before the sun. So it was, you're stumbling around in the dark trying to find your bear bag. With my headlamp on, this reflective cord was really great. It really helped me find it a lot easier. So, as far as hanging a bear bag, I'm not going to really get into that too much. I will tell you I did not always hang a bear bag. I hung a bear bag more in the beginning than I did at the end, but it was just based off each situation. If I felt that there could be a problem with bears or animals, then I hung a bag. If I didn't feel that it was an issue, I didn't hang a bag. So again, not going to get into that because it's a controversial subject. So, all right, there's my bag. So, how I cooked. If you go back through my earlier videos, you will see that I freezer bag cooked. And I did that from the very beginning, all the way through the trail. I cooked with a freezer bag cooker. This is a cozy. What you do is you put the Ziploc bag full of whatever food you're going to eat inside the cozy. And then you pour boiling water in this. You close it up and you let it sit for, however long, whatever, it depends on what you're cooking. And then it essentially cooked in here. And what that did is it saved on the gas that you had to use because I didn't have to keep simmering things and keep using gas. It did take a little longer, but in my opinion, it was less mess and less to clean up. I did have to carry out my trash, so I always had a little bit more trash. But for me, that was a good trade-off, and not having to clean my pot every day and not having to mess with all of that. So I made this. It's very simple construction, just some Velcro and things like that. You can buy these already made online, or you can make your own. It's very simple. Just Google it. That's what I did. All right, so my cook system. This is the Toaks 550 milliliter pot. I really like this pot. It worked great for me. So I always kept my bandana in there, which I use to clean up with and things like that afterwards. But I did that mainly to keep things from rattling while I was walking in my pack. So this is the Pocket Rocket 2 stove. I like this stove. Didn't have too many problems with it. One of the legs is a little loose. Which one? This one right here. I kind of had to keep an eye on that, but that wasn't that big a deal. And there used to be a little windscreen, a little cross that went on here that it fell off in the last few weeks before I got done. It was starting to sputter a little bit, but I think it just needs cleaned up. So I'll do that before I go out and use it again. For me personally, I always used the small cans just because I liked how they fit in my pack, how they were able to fit in my pot. I never had an issue running out, but I always kept 2 of these. I know that sounds silly for weight purposes, but that's just the way I did it, and that's just the way I did it, and I like doing it that way. So I like this stove combination. It's a great pot, great stove. I use this every morning and a lot of nights on the trail. But mostly every morning. So again, this is my pot, the Toaks 550 milliliter pot. It's a titanium pot, very lightweight. I don't know exactly what it weighs, but this is mainly what I use to drink my coffee out of and things like that. So I was very happy with it. I drank coffee every morning and ate my oatmeal every morning on the trail. So. And we'll go over that when I get to my food. But this is my pot. Fits on here very, very nicely if you get everything set, that is. So fit on here very nicely. It's a good stove, Bic lighter. My mini Bic lasted me the entire trail. I bought this before I left, and it's still going strong. The thing I like about this stove is most of the time I didn't need the flame. All you need is the spark. If you just spark it, it lights. So I guess I could show you that. So it lights up very easy. Very good stove. I did get some complaints from some of the people I hiked with that it's loud, and it is. It sounds like a jet engine, and I was always up early, so I tried to be as quiet as possible with it. But some mornings I woke up my hiking partners with that. So again, I was really happy with my stove setup and my food prep setup. I didn't have any issues. I didn't really change anything over the course of my hike. And I would use all of this same gear again and will use it again. So I enjoyed that. Next, we'll go over some of my food, what I ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks every day. So give me 1 second and I'll get everything set up. Okay, so we'll kind of go over the food I ate. Now understand, this is the food that I ate at the end of my hike. I changed things up a lot of times as I was hiking. I know I did a video somewhere in Virginia before the halfway point, or it was probably even before Waynesboro, somewhere in there, where I was eating some different kinds of things, and I'll go over some of those when we get to the dinner part. But for breakfast, I stuck to the basics, and I did pretty much the same breakfast every morning on the trail. I had instant coffee and oatmeal. Most of the time, it was strawberries and cream oatmeal too. I really like this, and I still like it. I bought it when I got home, and I still have it for breakfast. When I first started out, I was eating 2 packs. Then I went to 3 packs a day, and then I kind of went to 3.5 because if you notice, this comes in packs of 10. So I would always, so that was 3 days. I'd buy 2 packs of it. And anyways, you can do the math. I enjoyed the oatmeal. Oatmeal gave me good energy, good, I guess, slow burning energy for a couple hours during the day. So every morning it gave me good, slow burning energy, and I really liked it. And I didn't get sick of it. I don't know why, but there's a lot of other things I got sick of, but never this. So every morning would be coffee and oatmeal. What I would do in my pot, I would boil 2 cups of water. I would pour half of the water into my oatmeal, then leave the other half in and add a little bit of extra water and make my coffee in the morning. So I had strong coffee and oatmeal for breakfast, like I said, every morning. So then after a couple hours, when that would wear off, I would usually eat a Velveeta. I really like these Velveetas. They taste very good. This is actually the cinnamon and brown sugar one. I also like the blueberry one. But they have 200 calories in them a piece, each pack, and they also give you good slow burning energy as well. Plus, I like they're compact; they're easy to carry. They did break sometimes, but that's everything you've got in your food bag. So I really like these. I would eat these next, and then usually I would have right before lunch. I would have a pack of crackers. Everything. All the bars, all the protein bars, all of those things, they're all sweet. And you'll eventually get sick of sweet stuff. So that's why I tried to introduce some salty things into my diet during the day at least. And these pack of crackers kind of did that for me. So I would have that right before lunch. And then for lunch, again, I always joke that I ate like a 5-year-old out there. This is nothing but a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's called an Uncrustable. They're fantastic. The problem with them is you can't get them up north. So once you start getting up north, you can't find these anymore. Unless you can always find them at a Walmart, but in some of the grocery stores, you couldn't find them. They come frozen, but you just throw them in your food bag. These will last 4 to 5 days before you have to throw them out. So you got to eat them within 4 to 5 days. On the 4th and 5th day, they get a little stale, but they're still edible. They still taste good. But I found after about 5 days, they start having a problem with mold. So you got to watch and be careful with that. These are 210 calories a piece, and I would usually have 2 to 3 of them at lunch. Then after lunch and before dinner, I'd always have a snack. This is a Cliff Bar. I got sick of Cliff Bars after a while, and I started to eat Kind bars and some of the other protein bars and things like that. So I really just tried to mix it up as best I could with the bars. I just didn't want to get sick of them. I did like some almond bars and things like that, but I got really sick of bars, and it was hard to choke them down towards the end. for dinner. All right, so again, some of you saw my videos and saw that I ate these. This is nothing more than rice that's already cooked. All you have to do is open it up and eat it. There's no need to heat it up. There's no need to do anything like that. And then there was also some Campbell's Ready Meals, and I ate those as well. So my theory and the reason I did that was because it was after a long day of hiking and it was really hot and humid to sit there and cook and then eat hot food. It was miserable, and I wasn't eating. So I switched to these where I could still get some nutrition and still and not have to cook. I could eat them cold. The only problem with these is, man, these are unbelievably heavy. These weigh half a pound. So you can see when you start going, getting food for 5 to 6 days, how heavy that's going to get. And it did get heavy, and ultimately that's what made me stop using these. It's just because how heavy they were. And I started going back to the Knorr rice sides, excuse me. So this was one of my favorite, the 4-cheese risotto. I also like the chicken. I like the teriyaki ones and the Spanish rice and the Mexican rice and dirty rice. I liked all of those. I tried the Knorr pasta sides, and I just could never get them to rehydrate freezer bag cooking. I could never get the noodles to stop being crunchy, and I didn't like it. I couldn't eat them. So I always used the rice sides because they were easy to rehydrate, and they tasted good. So I liked them. One thing that I always had in my food bag was Idahoan potatoes, whether it be these buttery home style or I like the loaded ones as well. I always kept the buttery home style ones because there was days when I would be nauseous, whether it be from the heat, whether it just be from hiking, or whatever reason. And for some reason on those days, the potatoes tasted better. It's a good hearty meal. It's filling. It tastes good. But it was bland enough that it didn't upset my stomach on those days when I wasn't feeling the best. So I did keep these, and I ate these a lot, and I really liked them. But one of my favorite meals on the trail, or my favorite meal on the trail, was something I found at Walmart, and it's called it's just potato soup. These are the steakhouse potato soup, and I love these. I also love the loaded baked potato ones. You can't follow the directions on here because they'll make it too soupy. I liked it thick, about the consistency of oatmeal, just because it made it easier to eat out of a Ziploc bag. But I would break this down into two, and I would get 2 meals out of these, and like 1.5 cups of boiling water per half bag. And these are great. They're a little salty, so you got to be careful to make sure. I wouldn't eat these on a night when I had limited water, because to be honest, after you eat these, you're gonna need to drink a lot of water because it's salty. But that was good when it was hot, and I was sweating a lot, and I needed to replenish those electrolytes. But this was one of my favorite meals on the trail. All right, so after a little while, I started to lose too much weight, and I was getting concerned, so I started adding things to my diet. And one of the first things I added was a can of Pringles, and I kept these throughout most of the trail, through about half the trail at the end. I always had a can of Pringles. I liked the can because it fit in my pack. I put it sideways up against the frame of my pack, and it kept them from getting crushed. They still got crushed some, but it's easy to eat them even if they're crushed. I like these because at lunch I could grab just a handful and eat them with my lunch and things like that. But in the end of the day, when I'd get into camp, as soon as I started breaking open my pack, they were right there. And I was able to grab a handful and eat them while I'm setting up my tent and things like that. So then when I started to need some more fat into my diet, I added Triscuits and a block of cheese. And I would have cheese and crackers. I'd eat 5 or 6 of these, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, depends, every night, as kind of a snack after dinner. So the cheese I used was Cabot's. It's a hard block of cheese. You can get them just about anywhere, but it's a hard block of cheese, and I like the Vermont sharp cheddar. I think the sharper the cheese, the better, because it's harder. I'm not sure if that's true, but you have to be careful. I tried Kraft cheese, and it was terrible. It just it melted and was soft and gooey and nasty. But the Cabot's cheese, although it would get soft, it never got gross. It never got slimy and never got too greasy. But all the other cheeses did, so that's why I stuck with Cabot's. I just got a knife from a fast food restaurant. I don't remember where. I just kept a plastic knife with me, and that's what I used to cut the cheese. Once cut the cheese. Anyways, that's what I used to cut the cheese with, and then once it's soft, it was easy to cut it with a plastic knife. It wasn't difficult at all. But really, that's my favorite thing. Actually, since I've been home, I've gone through 3 blocks of that cheese and umpteen boxes of Triscuits because this is still my favorite snack in the evening. But that's what I ate. I did lose 35 pounds on the trail. If you probably, I probably gained a lot of weight and muscle in my legs, and my thighs and things like that. So, I probably lost 40 some pounds of fat. Those of you who have watched me the whole way know that when I started the trail, I was about 25 pounds heavier than I'd ever been before. So I needed to lose some weight, so I kind of maintained that weight. At the end, I lost quite a bit of weight at the end, just from the exertion. So I don't know what else to do, and that's when I just started trying to eat a little bit more. But it was difficult for me because, you only have so much room in your pack, and you only can carry so much food. But at the end, I didn't care about weight anymore. And I actually had another stuff sack that I filled up with food as well. So like when I went into the 100-mile wilderness, and then when I came out of the Whites, I was carrying a ton of food because I was so hungry all the time. So I kept a lot of food with me. You just got to kind of listen to your body. You're going to be hungry all the time, but you kind of got to watch your weight, see how you're feeling, see your energy levels. This food is not good for you. I would not eat this stuff here at home, although I have it all here. But as my daily staples, I wouldn't eat this. But when you're out on the trail, I guess it's anything goes. You can eat what you want. You kind of go where your body tells you to go. This food system, this worked for me. Every single person I was with ate different types of food. So it's a very personal decision. Once you're out hiking, see what your body wants, and then go with that. Okay, the last thing I'll cover is just my water filtration system. You'll notice that all of this stuff is very simple, and I like to keep things very simple. My cook system is very, very simple, and I wanted it to stay that way. I wanted it to be that way on purpose. I didn't want things to be difficult. So okay, we'll come back with my water stuff. Okay, so this is the filter that I used. Filter that most everybody used. Most everybody I saw used it. I saw a couple people using the Katadyn Be-Free. I just didn't like it because it wasn't big enough for me. The bag wasn't big enough. All right, so let's talk about bags. This is what I finished up with, was just the standard Sawyer bags that they came with. But these things are crap. They're absolutely junk, and I don't recommend using them for any long period of time. But mine lasted from Andover, Maine, and they're still in good shape. But I had one before that I was using because I'll get to my other bag broke. I'll get to that in a sec. I was using another one, and it didn't even last a week. So you cannot count on these things. I'm just showing them to you because this is what I ended up with. This is what I used the last few weeks on the trail. So I used a Sawyer water filter the whole time. I went through three of these actually. The first one I accidentally left in my pack, and it froze in the Smokies. So I threw it out and got another one. And then I had that one all the way up until Maine. And then something just didn't feel right about the filter. I thought it might have been cracking. It turned out it wasn't cracked. But I ended up buying another one because they had them at Walmart. I was able to get one. They're not that expensive, and it just gave me some peace of mind. So I used this. I did have, some of you know my earlier videos know that I had a tornado tube that I kept on here. I actually used that all the way up to all the way until probably Andover. But when I switched to these bags, I just started using the top that it came with, just because I don't know, it was just easier at the time. That tornado tube worked great. I kept it, like I said, through the majority of the trail. I wish I still had it here. I do have something similar to it that I've added to my water system now. So this is just the cleaning adapter that comes with or doesn't come with. You have to buy this separately, and it's just a couple bucks. But it's the same principle. You would fill this bag up with water. Put this on here, screw this on the end, and then let me grab my water bottle real quick. Okay, so I use smart water bottles, not this size. This is very small. I used a 1 liter smart water bottle, and then I used a 3/4 liter smart water bottle, and that's what I used the whole time. I don't know why that, 2 different bottles. I don't know. That's just the way I did it, and that's the way I liked it. So anyways, so you would take this. This is full of water. Screw this on the end here. And now you just don't have to hold it. And now it turns it into a gravity system. So you can just hold it and gravity will feed the water through it. Just, I don't know, makes it a little easier. I never use the gravity too often. I ended up squeezing it because I'm an impatient kind of guy. But this was my water filtration setup. It worked for me the majority of the trail. In the beginning, I used a lot of the drops. I'm at a loss for a word what the drops are at the moment. Aquamira. I used a lot of Aquamira in the beginning because I was afraid my water filter was going to freeze. And then I started to get sick of the taste of Aquamira. Some people say there's no taste to it. I felt there was. So I just switched back to this, and this is the system that I use the majority of the trail. One thing that lasted me all the way from Springer all the way to Katahdin was this. This is nothing more than a bag, one of these Sawyer bags, and I cut the top of it off. What I use this for is a scoop. This is what I used for my scoop. So you'd scoop water up and you pour it into your bottle. You use a scoop in places where the water's not running very much, and it's hard to fill up your bottle. So you use a scoop, and that's good for small puddles of water that you're having to get water out of. So I really strongly recommend you always keep a scoop with you. A lot of people would cut off, the bottom of a water bottle and use that. I just didn't like it because I couldn't find a spot for that to go in my pack without getting all messed up. So I just used this. It was very simple and it worked very well. So this was my scoop. This is my dirty water bag, water bottle, and filter. So I never had many issues with water. There was times where I did mess up, but never to the point where it was dangerous for me. I just get a little thirsty. So I had the ability most of the time, no, all of the time, because I carried 2 of these bags. I had the ability to carry 3 3/4 liters of water at all times. So I didn't normally do that. I didn't need to do that. But those who watch my videos know that I stealth camped the majority of the time I was on the trail, and most of the time stealth sites don't have water. So I would always stop in the evening before I was gonna camp for the night, and I would fill everything up. So I had my 2 bottles of water filled up, and I had 2 liters in my bags filled up. So that way I had enough to camp with. I needed at least 2 liters of water to camp with, and then I like to have enough water for the next day so that I could get to the next water site. So and then I like to have a liter to drink in camp. So that's just me. That's my personal water consumption. One thing that you don't see here, because I ended up throwing it away, was I had an Evernew bag, a 2-liter Evernew bag. And that lasted me all the way up to Maine. And then it started to spring a leak. Well, no, I'm sorry, not Maine. It was right before I hit the whites. It started to spring a leak in the top, around the around the neck. It's probably my fault. I wasn't holding it properly when I was screwing things on, screwing things off. But eventually it did fail on me somewhere, like I said, somewhere right after the whites. So I had to switch to the Evernew bag, I had to switch to the Sawyer bags. So, take that for what it's worth. I think that was my fault on the Evernew bag. I think I was just too hard on it. I think it's a great product. I would buy another one again. I have bought a different one now. The Knock is what I'm trying now. But I would still recommend the Evernew bag. It's a good bag. It's cheap. They're made in Japan, but it's a good product. Again, I think that was user error that caused it to fail, and not just poor quality. Okay, so this was my kitchen. My food, my water system. This will be the first of a few different videos. I'm still waiting to do my big 3 video because I'm still waiting on Z-Packs. So we'll get that all figured out, and then I will do my pack review, which I know most people are kind of waiting on. But all right, out here.